Hey guys, what's going on? Um, so we're going to cover a lot of stuff on this live, uh, but I want to talk about some stuff before we get into that. Uh, so last night on that live stream, I want to talk about it. I ended up going on another channel because other people had thought I didn't see what was happening in the chat last night, but I guess uh, people were saying some really insensitive things. I haven't got to really look at it. I just disabled the whole live chat because I just didn't want it to be an issue. Last night it was crazy. Um, but I just want to be, just for people to be very careful uh, to things that are kind of said towards, I guess the way I want to explain this is, uh, you know, I shared what happened to me, and I carried that for a long time. And I guess things come across insensitive and triggering. Um, and I don't want that going on towards people to ever feel like that about this channel. So I encourage people, and I just ask people to be very easy about that whole subject that we talked about last night. Again, though, uh, I'll cover this too. This is a big problem why people don't want to talk about that issue in this case, is because if you're not completely, um, I mean, you can say one wrong thing and people take it wrong, and you'll get ripped to shreds of it, and people just don't want to talk about it. And I mean, I see how that happens too. But I went over on another channel last night, and we talked about it and addressed that. And I just encourage people, just please be compassionate when we talk about anything has to do with any kind of victims, survivors of any kind of essay, anything like that. Thank you, Agnes Lamb, for becoming a member. I appreciate that so much. Okay, let me catch up. I don't want to ignore you guys. This chat is already going fast. I didn't put it on like super slow mode. I just put it on 30 seconds in between messages. No, not this live. We're talking about the one last night. I was actually on another channel till almost 5 o'clock this morning, talking about certain things. And I want to make it clear too, just because we've called out some inconsistent things too that the Wells have said and everything, we still are standing as we're waiting for evidence. We don't know anything. We're all in the same boat as we were a long time, at the beginning. This law enforcement has said we're no closer to finding out what happened this summer as we were in June. That was, I actually showed that in a community post where the news had, they were just reiterating what Sheriff Lawson had said. See what else. So I'm excited about this live because I've been encouraging you guys to watch Missing 411. I've told you about a video that I wanted y'all to see. It was on the Missing Can-Am project. So I was like, you know what? Let's just do a live where we go over it together. This is compelling stuff. I'm not saying that this is the excuse me. I'm not saying this is the answer or this is what exactly happened to Summer, but it's compelling. And reason being is because if you're not familiar with who David Paulides is, he's ex-law enforcement and wrote the books and pretty much is the lead person on the Missing 411 phenomenon. We're going to go over that. He doesn't cover active cases, and he talked about Summer's case almost 9 months ago, right at the very beginning of it, and said that it held all be signs in the criteria to be a missing 411 case. And I was like, wow, to say that and for him to talk about that, uh, that early on was pretty mind blowing to me because I've been really interested in the missing 411 stuff because, I mean, it's insane. There's just no answers to what happens to these people. And I mean, we're talking about seasoned hunters that have hunted their entire life that just go missing. And in an area they've hunted their entire life, they just disappear. And I've got a video and a clip that we're going to watch that kind of explains what the missing 411 is. And then we're going to go over the video he did on Summer, where this was early on. Some of his information is not correct, but I mean, that's to be expected. I think he did the video uh, within weeks of Summer going missing. So some of the information he had was not on point. Like I think at one point he says that Rose Bly is Dawn's sister, but I mean that could also be just misspeaking, trying to keep all his this is a lot of facts or a lot of information, I should say, in this case. Uh, hardly any facts, lots of information to try to keep up with. Um, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to think of the best way to explain what I'm trying to say here is with this case. I heard another channel say the devil is in this case. He is 100%. If you get consumed by this case, it's like the worst hits you in all directions. And I mean, I've personally went through this since we, me and my wife have, since we, started trying to help in this. I mean, we knew we were going to take flack for the stance and getting close and trying to find answers and searching for Summer. But we didn't know to the degree that it would be. But it's worth it because the more that there's a lot of things, a lot of information that we would have never known, and that we've learned and been able to share with you guys that I don't think otherwise would have been out there because law enforcement isn't telling us anything. We were able to go up there and film the property and the trails, but that's some of that footage is the only footage that we have right now of that property and everything that's out there. I'm blessed to be able to have given, put that out there for people to see, and maybe that it, flip a switch in somebody's head and they're like, hey, well, we were driving by there or something. Saw this, saw that. I mean, hopefully somebody comes through and sees this. Sees something from any one of these creators that makes them say, hey, that makes me, you remember when we were down there? Even somebody that say it is a witness in the red truck and they're like, oh, they're talking about a red truck. Well, that was us. Remember when we was out there? Something, just example. I don't know. It's just like you get to a point in this that you want to throw in the towel and you just want to be done. Then you sit back a few days and you're like, it's not about anybody else. It's not about all the naysayers, the hate, and all about that. It's about a missing 5-year-old girl. It's about Summer. Nothing else. And by the grace of God, if me and my wife were able to come across any information as local that would help find her, that would be payment for a lifetime to see her safe and sound come home, or just bring answers forward, just to help with something like that. I'm not saying we are. So there's this one channel in particular that likes to twist everything we say. By the way, I said something last night and they tore me apart about it. I said, well, I guess could be considered working under the table. and it's not even the case. I do mechanic work. I've maybe made $300 mechanic work since I've started, doing stuff for family or friends like that. You have to file a 1099. You have to at least make $600 to file a 1099. She put on her channel, report them for tax fraud and all this. I'm like, my God, you were trying very hard. Said that we did illegal searches and stuff. It's just crazy. Too much. And I mean, if that's their prerogative is to come after us and to make content coming after us, so be it. Because you'll get bored after a while, I promise. Because I do take breaks and I won't be on for a week or so. Oh, imagine that. Then they twist that and say when I'm grieving that it was something nefarious. Oh yeah, right. You lost your phone. What do you mean it pinged all over town? It pinged all over town and it was in my kid's clothes basket. I have no other way of explaining it. That's what happened. Yeah, I'm not trying to give them attention. I just think it's funny. We sit back and watch this and we're like, oh my gosh, I'm not giving them shine. Music City Mom of what the channel is. It's not even really worth it. But they're literally putting content out saying to report us for tax fraud and all this and to unsubscribe from us because we are, if people feel that way, go ahead. It's not about, I'm not in this for subscribers in this channel. I'm in this to try to bring answers, and I know my wife is too. Hold on, guys, 1 second. What? I got it. What?
I said you'll have to turn it off again in just a minute when I go to check on her.
Okay. So we'll get started in just a minute. Ice Milk, Chasing Truth. Do you still support BK? Look, don't start that over here, please. Chasing Truth. It's not, we're not going to mention any creators in this chat because that's how crap gets started. It's not about that. It's not supporting or hating. They are their own channels. Everybody is their own channels. Their content does not reflect on us. Ours doesn't reflect on them. People are creators. It's people being cordial and adults. It's not supporting. It's people being adults. Everybody. We've done things people don't agree with. Everybody has. It's not about that. We're supporting Finding Summer. That's that. So please, we're not going to talk about other creators, and we're not doing like what happened last night and going off on some crazy tangent that's not even what we were, intending that content to be about. Basically, what we were doing was if people would have paid attention, I was giving them a website to keep up with if warrants are filed. We went over information. The legislature of Utah pulled it up, went over it, because I wanted to be more informed. She wanted to be more informed on the laws. I wanted to understand it. That's what we did that for. I was wrong about about Mirandizing. I learned last night and said, boy, I learned something. So I learned when we do this stuff, I try to do it because I'm learning too.
And we also learned about the statute of limitations in Utah.
Learned about on some.
It was very educational on.
Yeah,
for us at least.
I thought it was educational. It was good. So moving past that, Sorry. So we'll get into what this content is going to be about and what this video is, and this is what I guess what I titled it could it be? We're going to go over another case. I don't know if you guys are just now coming in here. If you haven't heard about this, when we get into this and talking about, there was another child in the 50s, late 50s. Kaz, we're not even talk about it for real, about any other channels. Nobody's bashing nobody. We're not even going to talk about it for real. It's not going to be arguments about who's this or who's that. That's not what this is about. It takes away from Summer arguing about If people like this person or people like that person, it's not a popularity contest. It's about doing what we can for Summer. Um, that's it's really it's all that stuff is childish, and it's not even, it's pointless. I mean, we're all individuals that have our own different channels. It should be
Opinions,
in
but
opinions. People, not every. I guess I would say even a channel that does believe in, say, the channels that are on innocent until proven guilty, try to not even put an opinion forward. They still might not have the same opinions, but yet they wait. We're just waiting for evidence. That's all it is. Try to be cordial. Try to be adults, and try to talk to each other as adults. And I wasn't jumping on Cat. I was just telling you I don't want to even talk about any of that stuff. Well, I'm going to shut that down from anybody tonight. So mods, be diligent tonight, all you guys. I appreciate it. I just want us to be able to get through this. I'm excited about this information. I've been really excited about doing it and didn't know when it was a good time to. Yeah, I got what you're trying to say. I just didn't want to mention anything. Cracking cases. This is what I wanted to say there. To have it in their heads and don't ask. Okay, I sorry, I just saw the name, and I just saw people's names in the comments, and just want to make sure that we're just not doing that. Okay. Looking for folks to breathe oxygen into. Okay. So I guess how we're going to start this, I'm going to turn this camera off because that's not important. I'll come back on after we watch stuff, and I'll click in and out, and we'll talk, and we'll just go over what we're watching.
And I might be going kind of in and out today because our daughter has a stomach virus.
My son had it.
Yeah, our son had it Friday.
Skip a couple days, my daughter got it.
Yeah, now today our daughter has it. So I've got her taking a bubble bath right now. So
thank you, Tracy,
checking on her
for becoming a sub. Let me make sure I'm answering everybody before I go on with what we're going to talk about. Ariety, I agree. Thank you. See, Chasing K. Yeah, look, this information is compelling, man. If y'all aren't familiar with it, is there anybody in this chat right now that's not familiar with what missing 411 is? Just let me know real quick, because I think it's good that people have a full in-depth description of what we're going to be talking about, or you won't have an idea of what we're doing at all. So I think that, let me wait, and I'll see how many people. Well, I'm going to explain it to you too, because I think it's good. So basically it's in national forest, parks, federal parks, national forests. People go missing just out of thin air. They're there and they're gone. They will have a big search party go out for them. They will find nothing. Months, even years down the road, or a year later, months or even a year later, they'll find like their shoes in the same, at the very beginning of the search area that they had searched multiple times. Then, like a couple months later, they'll find like legs still in pants, laying right beside a creek. For example, too, they find somebody's a backpack, and the stuffing will be pulled out of it like it was hypothermia, but yet there's no and then when they find like the actual rest of the person, years later, it's miles away, right next to a place where they could have got help, with like a thermos sitting here. We're gonna go over a few of them. It is really, really crazy. It's mind blowing.
Very interesting.
And we're gonna go over the criteria that makes things a 411 case, like what it has to be near a boulder field, near water, very vast open areas, not close to water, but above water. I'll have to pull it up word for word what he says. So let me share this first one real quick. Thank you, Carrie L, for the super sticker. I really appreciate it. And guys, if I ever don't call you out when or thank you about something, if I didn't see it, please remind me. Because I'm bad about that. I've caught myself just not thanking somebody, or I'll look at it and mentally think I thanked you and didn't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there was a little girl that in the 1950s that went missing 5 miles from Summers residence. He's going to talk about that, and then we're going to look into that case deeper. So here we go. Let me take this comment off and share what I got. That's the wrong one. Okay. Hold on. That comment right there that I put up, that's very true. And these, look, some of the searches that have happened for these people in the missing 411 was humongous search organizations. I mean, way bigger than what happened with what was called out for Summer. And Summer had a big, the first initial search was huge and didn't find anything. And that's what is so compelling about these. And then, but we're going to go over this one first. I'm hoping that this video right here gives an explanation of it, and then we're going to go into David Paulides covering Summer Wells. Again, he never covers an active investigation. It's always a cold case that he sees criteria. But when he saw this very early on, he said it looked everything to be a missing 411 case, and that really stuck out to me. So here, go ahead.
He talked about it within the first week or two of Summer going missing. This was early on when he talked about it.
I said, well, that's good that you resaid it, because I said it when we first started, but there's a lot more people in here now, so it's good that we keep everybody on point. So let me push play. Hopefully, we're going to come back to this video, but hopefully the beginning will be an explanation.
What's the address of your emergency?
I'm actually camping in Ledworth, just outside of Ledworth.
Uh-huh.
My 2-year-old son, we can't find him.
How long has he been missing?
About an hour.
An hour?
Yeah.
Are you by water?
Yes.
Do you know which campground you're in?
Timber Creek.
Hold on. We need search and rescue.
Y'all will be very familiar with this
News
case.
in Idaho Falls is kind of slow. Not a lot of big things happen here. I had only been here a few weeks when this case, the biggest story of my career, happened.
It just didn't make sense that did not find anything. Footprints, pieces of flesh, pieces of clothing.
Well, it's troubling. I got, members of my search and rescue unit that aren't sleeping too well.
DeOrr Kunz, and the parents have been cleared as of this date.
This is a small town in Idaho called DeOrr. It's remote. Your cell phone is going in and out. You're on a gravel road at first, but then it turns very rocky. And when I say rocky, I mean big boulders.
You could drive maybe 5 miles an hour, and that's safe. And it's just real rocky. It takes a long time to travel the short distance from the town of DeOrr to the campground.
Well, once you leave the pavement, I think it's a little over 7 miles of a pretty rough road.
Once you reach the campsite to where they were at, the Timber Creek campground, it kind of just dead ends. And you get out, and there's the campsite. There's a table. There's a fire pit. 10, 20 feet away, there's a steep hill that goes to the creek.
All right, so before we go any further, people in the chat are asking, the parents were being accused of this, just like this case with Summer. They were like the grandfather. Except add one more person. It was the grandfather, the grandson, or the granddaughter, and her husband, DeOrr Kunz Sr., and a friend, which was very strange. And we're going to get into that. But they were looked at as being the main suspects because, look, when you see this, they are the only ones that were around this child. Very, very similar situation. The parents have been cleared as of this date by law enforcement. Still, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but have they yet to find anything on DeOrr? Am I correct in saying that? This is very eye-opening. People might have followed DeOrr Kunz, but if you haven't, people might have seen this. But if you haven't seen this, this is very this will make you think. I don't think. Yeah, they are. I saw where the new. So the private investigator in it was fired by the family, and the parents, I think, are cleared. Let me see. I'll find that while y'all watch this. I'll find that information. Yeah, they found nothing as of this date. I don't think on DeOrr.
It's a combination of willowy, swampy creek bottoms, steep hillsides, some of them sagebrush, some of them timber, a lot of rock.
They arrived at the campground late on the evening of July 9th, Thursday evening. It was very late. It was dark. They say they instantly went to bed. From day one, law enforcement told us that all of the people at the campsite were considered persons of interest just because they were simply there. DeOrr Sr. and Jessica Mitchell, the parents of young DeOrr, Jessica's grandpa, and another man named Isaac Renwand, who was a friend of Grandpa, who apparently at the last minute decided to go camping with them.
It was dark when they got there. DeOrr said they parked the truck, parked the trailer, and the Suburban. Isaac pitched his tent. They got Grandpa settled in the camp trailer. They slept in the back of the Suburban, got up the next morning, and then he realized how rural it was. They were basically at the end of the road. Thought it was a pretty safe place, cliffs on all the way around, not really any way for him to get out,
The next morning, July 10th, Friday, they wake up, they're hanging around the campsite,
They had gone into Ledor to the store because Jessica needed feminine products. They went in there and they bought, just that stuff and then some candy and stuff for little man.
Jessica goes to the bathroom as the boy's being loaded up, and they return to the campground. So when they get to the campground, this Isaac and the grandfather, Bob, said, "We got some fish." And he showed the fish to DeOrr. And DeOrr supposedly says, "I don't believe you caught those fish in the stream there. I can't believe it. Show me where you got them." So Jessica and DeOrr, with this Isaac, go towards the creek, which is maybe 100 feet away.
They say to little DeOrr, "Do you want to come with us?" According to law enforcement, little DeOrr follows them for a point, but then turns around and goes back. The parents continue on assuming that Grandpa is watching DeOrr.
And Jessica tells me she keeps looking back over her shoulder to make sure the little boy's not following them. And when she was confident he wasn't following, they went to the two spots along the creek where they supposedly caught the fish.
Well, they went down there probably 10, 15 minutes, and then they saw minnows. And they were going to go back to camping at Little Man because he loves fish. Like, he loves bugs, stuff like that. And so they went back up there, and DeOrr looks at Bob and says, "Where's little DeOrr?" And Bob says he was right here.
"Where's little DeOrr?" And Grandpa said, "Well, he's right there." Of course, he's not there. Grandfather claims he didn't go inside his trailer, but I believe he did.
Police say that Isaac Renwand at this time is down at the creek fishing. They say they panic. They do a search of the immediate campground. They look wherever they can.
Craziness started. They started yelling. They started searching.
They searched for about 15 to 20 minutes. No sign of him.
Dennis decided they better call 911.
It's a remote area. You can't get cell phone service. Jessica says miraculously she got a signal.
My 2-year-old son, we can't find him.
DeOrr hops in his truck, goes down the road to see if he can get better service. Both of them were on the phone with 911 at the same time. My son's missing. Can you help us? And then it's just all been chaos from there.
Good evening, everyone. You're in the right place at the right time. This is Coast to Coast AM. Tonight, we plunge once again into the deep end of the paranormal pool. Hundreds of people vanished from our national parks and forests, some right under the noses of parents or family members, under very unusual but very similar circumstances. Dave Paulides, welcome back to the program.
Well, thanks for having me, George.
All right, Dave, I want to jump right into this. DeOrr Kunz, 2 years old. You were a cop. If you were investigating this case, abduction is one of the least likely events, right?
I would probably say yes. And the reason for that is that the family was in a campground deep into the mountains. There was one very rocky, rough road going in and the same road out. If someone would have driven into that area, you would think that the family would have heard them. And if they would have walked up to the...
Okay, I want to mute on this. The description for this video the link for this video is in the description section. I found some information. June 2015, keep that in mind, is when DeOrr Kunz Jr. goes missing. They are the only people at the campground. There is 4 adults, 1 child. During the day, he disappears during the day, with the parents walking down to a creek. So hold on a second. Let me read this to you. This is what I just found. Okay, so I was trying to find if they've been cleared. She's hollering for you. So let me see if I should. Let me unshare that, and I'll share this one, what I'm going over real quick, and we'll pull this back up. Okay, so I just want to get, this happened in 2015, so there's a lot that's happened in this case since this video was made, and I don't know exact when that missing 411 video was made, but it said, what happened to baby DeOrr Kunz Jr. and progress in his case. It is a tragic moment for a family when their outing concludes in disaster, when a woman calls emergency services to inform that her 2-year-old son DeOrr Kunz Jr. is missing from the Timber Creek campground 10 miles west of Ledore, Idaho. When children go missing, families spend months, years, and even decades trying to discover what happened to their lost loved ones. But getting a conclusion and some sort of resolution is never simple, especially when there is insufficient evidence. And one of the most unfortunate and strange disappearances is DeOrr Kunz Jr., who has now been missing for 7 years. In the years since repeated, so he would be 9 years old. Gosh. In the year since repeated efforts of deceit have applied the parents as suspect by police and their former private investigator, however, minimal evidence has been found, and neither parent has admitted to the crime. As time passes, the family continues to distance themselves from the community they once considered so highly, leaving everyone questioning, where is DeOrr Kunz Jr.? What happened to baby DeOrr Kunz Jr.? It is a mystery that has perplexed investigators and left family and friends sorrowful. 2-year-old DeOrr Kunz Jr. from Idaho Falls disappeared on July 10th, 2015. So not the 15th, July 10th. So same time, it's not June, July 10th. Very shortly. I mean, what's a matter of weeks, 4 weeks difference from Summer's time period of her going missing. While touring Timber Creek Campground 10 miles from Ledore, east of Chalice, excuse me. Okay. East of Chalice, Idaho, with his parents, Jessica Mitchell and Vernal DeOrr Kunz Sr., DeOrr's great-grandfather, grandfather of Jessica, Robert Walton, and Isaac Reinwand, a friend of Walton's, was also on tour. This group was on a family fishing trip when DeOrr disappeared around 2:40 p.m. on that day. Mitchell and Vernal choose to take them camping, and the fishing trip was immediate and unexpected, according to other family members. It was to become a destructive decision to head out into the forest. The campsite was near to the Stone Reservoir, and a stream ran alongside. Jessica and Vernal told authorities they assumed their son's great-grandfather was attending him at the Timber Creek campground, while his great-grandfather thought the boys was down by the creek with his parents and Isaac. DeOrr was wearing a camouflage jacket and blue pajama pants at that time he disappeared. The parents' separate 911 calls, police interviews, and other proof triggered an investigation that left more mysteries than answers. Since that day, there has been no sign of DeOrr, and nobody has been charged in connection with the disappearance. Mitchell and Kunz Sr. were named suspects in January 2016 by former Lemhi County Sheriff Lynn Bowerman, but they were never arrested or charged. There was little or no evidence that they had committed any crime. The parents have claimed from the start that they do not know what occurred to their son. Reinwand and Walton also said they had no sense of where the boy was when interviewed by the police. Walton died in June 2019. Sorry, guys, I can't see the chat. I'm on a different page, so bear with me. I'll be back over there in a minute. Publicly, the case has been comparatively quiet in recent months. Apart from continued trial between the family as a private investigator, and after months of testing at the FBI office in Quantico, Virginia, investigators announced a bone found at the campsite in June 2019 was from an animal and not tied to the missing boy. According to Lemhi County Sheriff Steve Penner, the case is still open and active. Today, Steve Penner is in charge of the case as the lead investigator and the sheriff of Lemhi County after winning the 2017 election that saw the previous sheriff, Lynn Bowerman, retire. DeOrr's arrival at the Timberlake Creek campground. Let me see what's. Let me just roll through here and see what's controversy in Kunz's case. Differences immediately appeared in the accounts of the parents under which DeOrr disappeared. Discrepancies in statements became public, and officials said both had declined multiple polygraph tests. As a result, both Mitchell and DeOrr Sr. were mentioned suspects in the case in January 2016. Lemhi County Sheriff Lynn Bowerman said, "I believe his parents are hiding something. There's no doubt in my mind. We gave them every opportunity to explain if it was an accident or some kind, and they haven't." Man, I didn't know how similar this case was. This is crazy. Bowerman believed this case has to be a homicide and does not believe the boy is anywhere near the area where he disappeared. The boy was said to be wearing cowboy boots a size too big for his feet. Holy crap, you hear this? Mm-hmm. Which supposedly keeps sliding off. Family members said many thoughts that if DeOrr was attacked by an animal or snatched, that the boots would have fallen off, but no trace of the boots has turned up. However, insignificant evidence has been discovered and neither parents have confessed to the crime. As time passes, the family continues to distance themselves from the community they once considered so highly, leaving everyone wondering, where is DeOrr Kunz Jr.? So here's their suspicion. Can you look up while you're in there and tell me if they were cleared this year? I thought I saw something or read something about it. Investigation by Klein. Okay, so they had. Let me click back over here and see what's going on over here. In the chat. So I guess I can read it from here, but I'm gonna have to keep scrolling over. Just hopefully I didn't miss anything important. All right, guys. I hope that y'all are finding this as interesting as I do. This is insane. So if they weren't clear, okay, Luigi Lollipop says they weren't cleared. I thought I had read something. Like I said, don't quote me. I didn't know for sure. I thought that I had read something that they might have been. But if they haven't been, then that's interesting too. But when we'll go in, we'll watch the rest of this 411 clip too, because it gives more information than what's being said here. It makes you really think. And I like what Dave Paulides does because he looks at everything as well. He's very, very thorough. You'll see that. Klein, okay, so this is their private investigator. The family hired and then fired a private investigation firm called Klein Investigations and Consulting. The head of the company, Philip Klein, stated that his investigators found evidence to rule out an animal attack or kidnapping scenario. Klein said, "We have said one thing all along in this case. The evidence will lead us to the truth. And we want to assure you, the public, that we are getting there." Klein also said a member of DeOrr's extended family rehired him to investigate the case, something the attorney for Mitchell and DeOrr Sr. denies. After he declared his opinion on the matter, Mitchell and Kunz fired him, ultimately attempting to take him to court. Their lawsuits were rejected at least 3 times. With KIC winning, everyone Their final lawsuit came in October 2019. Start talking and my nose gets itself running. These lawsuits stem from the allegations. Hold on. Holy crap. Where did my... Uh-oh. I'm not live anymore, I don't think. Sorry. Oh, it shut down. I don't know how I got over there on that channel. Sorry, guys. Or not channel, but on that page. Bear with me. Sorry. Okay, Cass. Thank you for that. I don't know how I got over on that other... Okay, whatever. As long as it's... Okay. These lawsuits stem from allegations that Klein was negligent in his conversations with the media, including defamatory allegations against the parents that allegedly hindered the investigation. Klein alleged that the search was a sickening example of deflection of an event that, in our opinion, was most probably an accident and a cover-up. Further, he claims that the investigators had an opinion of how DeOrr died, but cannot uncover why his death occurred, believing the mother to be the source of the whole cover-up. Although she revealed to the media that she thought Vernal could be capable of harming their child, Klein counters that she is just as skillful in committing such a horrendous crime. I don't know. This sounds like a big case of... I don't even know how to explain it. Like the private investigator, if he had evidence of them doing so and spoke out so matter-of-factly, you would think law enforcement would take his evidence and charge. And I think this will be good when we go back over to the other video. They explain this in detail. Here's an age progressed photo. Wow. That's what I said. He would be 9 years old. Well, when was this done? This was done 21, so he'd be 10 years old, 10 or 11. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children issued an age progressed photo of DeOrr to name the parents' main suspects. Let's see. Upon eviction from their shared apartment for failure to make payments, investigators were given entrance to the premises by the residing landlord, where they found the missing camouflage jacket and several toy cars that both parents allege were with their son at the time of his disappearance. Wow, wow, wow. In addition to the toys and jacket, a family friend used a credit card with seemingly purchased of items unknown to investigators and testimony. An insurance tracking device box along with instructions was also found. Let me read that again. Seemingly purchase of a family friend used a credit card with seemingly purchases of items unknown to investigators and testimony. An insurance tracking device box along with instructions was also found. What is that? What is an insurance tracking device box? Click over here and get y'all's opinions. Yeah, that's weird. I didn't know about the jacket being found. How can they find something like that? I guess they still say that's not enough evidence to charge. I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, missing Nora. That's what I was saying. I don't. Yeah, he spoke out too early and said that they did something, and I guess they fired him. I guess he probably could have kept working and gotten closer and more information. But for him to make those claims and then law enforcement not to file charges behind him so matter of factly, I don't know the whole story of that. It's kind of crazy. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. That's what that is. It's so the black box in your vehicle. Yeah, the tracker thing, the thing that Gonzo showed us on the channel a long time ago that his work truck has in it, that logs your speed and how many miles you drive. The Barry Morphew case, the thing that told how many times he put it in reverse, all that. That's what that is. Okay. Okay, cool. All right, let me see here. Yeah, like OnStar or the thing in Subaru. What the I can't even think of the name right now because oh gosh, Starlink. Yeah. Okay. Let's go on. I just want to see if there's anything else important right here, and then we're gonna finish watching that video. Oh wow. Here we go. Cadaver dogs hit on 5 locations, including a site located just 3/4 of a mile from the campground in 2016. That sent chills down my 3/4 of a mile. So, where have we heard 3/4 of a mile before? That's the distance between the two sets of footprints in Summer's case. One was at 0.4 miles and the other set was at 3/4 of a mile. I mean, it's too much. I don't believe in coincidences. They're just too much stuff. It's so crazy to me. There was no other proof found at the location. In April 2019, a new private investigator became engaged in the search. David Marshburn. He also co-founded the Search for Me Foundation and has become part of the investigation. In November 2019, HLN's Real Life Nightmares series re-examined the case and aired unseen footage, including hours of recorded interviews with the family members and friends. Also in 2019, a film by David Paulides. So 2019, so what we're watching is not that old. Missing 411 featured the case and had discussions with key members of the investigation. In March 2020, it was approved a small bone discovered at Timber Creek Campground did not belong to DeOrr. Sheriff Steve Penner found the bone in June 2019 and sent it to the FBI office in Quantico, Virginia for testing. He said preliminary testing couldn't rule it out as being human, but tests at Quantico did not find any human DNA on the bone. It's likely the remains are from an animal. DeOrr Kunz Jr. was born on December 30th, 2012 to Jessica Mitchell. The final verdict right here, then we can go back. In a state with so many natural settings, varying from beautiful mountainous ranges to sun-bleached deserts, being outdoors is a primary aspect of Idahoan livelihoods. Camping being just one many favorite pastimes. Boasting an expensive 35 million acres of public land, Idaho seems like the ideal getaway. But when a family camping journey turns to disaster, the vast forest changes from a blessing to a curse. Years have passed since the departure of alleged abduction of DeOrr Kunz Jr. However, with the continuous support of dedicated investigators such as Philip Klein, the communities and people who love DeOrr in their hearts believe there will come a day when DeOrr is discovered and justice is served. Wow, that's crazy. All right, guys. All right, we'll see what I'm going to continue. I want to show what else is in this because I want to get back to what's important. We've already been on an hour. This one might be go for a while. This live's going to be pretty informative. We got a lot to go over, so bear with me. It's going to get interesting. We ain't even get to the good part yet. It's just mind blowing. I didn't even know we were going to go over that and that information. That wow, crazy. All right.
campsite, they for sure would have been seen.
It's like in so many of the other cases, it's like he's plucked out of the sky. It's like just snatched out of the sky.
That case is very reminiscent of a case that happened decades earlier, just outside of Estes Park, Colorado.
So this one isn't the full detail. That's a good place to stop right there. On this video. And we might go in back to it. I thought there was more about DeOrr Kunz in this one. They talked to the parents and everything in the one. Yeah, look, if you go watch all these videos on the Missing 411, so the comment that I just put up, I wanted to talk. So she said, I feel like it's completely different than a kindergartner going missing. If you go out there, it is very mountainous and the terrain is very similar out. Well, I'm not going to say similar. Tennessee and Idaho are probably way different, but where Beech Creek Community, you have Chimney Top, the mountain range that runs behind. It's very close. I mean, you are on vast wilderness out there. This is one of my arguments I had last night on another channel. Do y'all remember the 3-year-old that was found safe, completely naked in Texas, that was gone? He had made it I can't remember how far, miles away from his home, and he spoke Spanish, and the guy that was yelling for his name, he would say his name, but he wouldn't answer. And how does a child that young make it through a night cold with no clothes on? Because somebody said they didn't believe last night. They said they didn't believe that Summer could make it. As far as to the first set of where the first set of alleged footprints were at 0.4 miles, or whichever one first, whatever set was first in those footprints. That I have to argue, most definitely she could. We showed the location last night of where it was an open field. If she was barefoot, you wouldn't think she would be going through the briars. And I'm speaking of Summer. Wouldn't think she'd be going through the briars. A child only is going to do something that hurts like that one time. Then they're going to find a different route. They would go, this is saying that she's by herself walking away, and that she's not being carried or anything like that. Because despite popular belief, and I stand behind the footprints as of this point in time, and everything that I know about them, I believe that's the one thing that they have, the one and only thing that they have, as part of just anything for what happened to Summer. I do. From everything I know and I've been told and everything, I stand behind them. I believe they are real. And it's just very strange to me how the property owner says, well, by the time the dogs alerted, search and rescue had been all over my property, and there'd be no way to tell if there was other like adult prints next to those, because they had been, there was prints everywhere. That was his words. We showed that on the lives we did about the footprints. And then we talked last night on that channel. I also showed where the second set was, to give people a better idea. And we talked about that in depth. I'm not saying 100% she walked away. I'm not saying that. We don't know. I have many theories because there's so many that could be plausible in this. before I move on and we go the information about Dave Paulides talking about Summer's case, I still bring up my argument that Arietti, and this is that email that I shared because we were talking about this exact same information. Why I shared your email you sent me, but just because they here, I'm actually going to read it word for word, and I'm not going to pull it up, but I'm going to read it as what you sent me because it's very well said. Okay. Let me find it real quick. Where are you? Where are you? Okay. Here we go. I'm gonna pull this up. So she says this is from, and I can actually share. This is y'all go check out Arietti Plays Detective. Go ahead and drop your link in the chat, Arietti, so you can get people to check out what you got going on. It's good stuff. She says a few quotes. Okay. Okay, here it is. She says, a few quotes in my analysis. Sheriff Lawson said nothing pointing to abduction, nothing pointing to foul play, other than her walking outside the house and not being found, is basically the main thing right now. What actually happened to her, we are still trying to find out. Leslie Earhart, TBI Publications officer, said, despite the countless hours of tireless work, the circumstances surrounding her disappearance remain unclear. At this time, there is no evidence that she was abducted. However, all avenues continue to be explored, including the very real possibility that she wandered off and became lost in the mountainous and rough terrain surrounding her home. When questioned about her statement on Twitter by someone saying, does no evidence of abduction mean abduction? Does no evidence of abduction mean abduction kidnapping has been ruled out? Earhart replied, no, it doesn't. All possibilities continue to be explored. Sheriff Lawson said, everybody is still a suspect, person of interest, however you want to put it. My take, this is Arietti's take on this. She says, my take on this is that just because they haven't found evidence of abduction doesn't mean it didn't happen. It just means they have no evidence of that scenario, just like they have no evidence for any other scenario. Just because they haven't found Summer or any evidence for what happened to her while searching doesn't mean she wasn't abducted, and doesn't mean she didn't wander off on her own. She could have left that property and got lost in the woods and fallen somewhere that they haven't located her. Human remains are sadly sometimes missed, especially in large-scale searches of wide areas of difficult terrain. She could have wandered off and met with an accident, such as being hit by a car or accidental shooting by a hunter, which has been covered up. She could have wandered off and been picked up by an opportunist abductor. She could have been groomed by someone locally and gone willingly to see them. All manners of possible scenarios. However, the police are saying there is no evidence because they can't work from speculation. They need actual physical evidence before they state they know what happened to her. A principle which everyone should follow. I agree with that. But Yeah, I felt like that was good. I felt like that's a good explanation of this. And I didn't know that somebody had reached out and asked her, just because there's no evidence, does that mean it's ruled out? That kidnapping and abduction was ruled out? And she said no. It was still being looked into. I didn't know that. But that's on Twitter, and go check that out. I guess on one of their Twitter posts. So the point of that, what I was getting at is, till they find the red truck or whoever's driving it and find out if they are being looked at as a witness, as they say, they want to know what they seen or what they, witnessed that day. It's because I think the delivery driver said they saw the red truck either the 14th, the evening of the 14th, or the 15th, or it was the evening of the 14th or day of the 15th. He wasn't for sure. I think that's the way it was said. But till the red truck comes in, I don't know how they can roll out anything, because what if that person, and if they are looked at as a suspect, then that's a whole different ballgame. And then what Sheriff Lawson said about we need people in the area to check their trail cam, security footage, all that, because we need to know who was in the area, in and out of the area. And think about this: what if somebody that is local to that checked their own security footage or trail cam footage and erased something that was caught on being one? And these are possibilities; these are examples. This is the problem, I feel like, when you have local people check their own footage and stuff, because if somebody is responsible and they had like their security footage, accidentally caught them and they didn't know that it caught them, and then they go look and it shows them doing it, and they're just going to erase their own footage and they're not going to turn it in. I don't know. I have to question all of it, because there's no evidence of anything at this point. Anything. You would think, just like in DeOrr Kunz, that there would be something. He was literally feet from all four of these people. And then that brings up the argument in his case: how does all four people in such a close proximity to each other all stay on track with their same story and nobody falter or well, it did say the parents refused lie detector tests. But then people at the same time with this one, you have people that say, well, I passed them. I took multiple ones and I passed them. How many ones do you want me to take? They're just trying to keep this, I guess, where they're inaccurate and people do their research on them. They're like, well, I mean, I've passed them so many times. They're just trying to hem me up by answering multiple questions. What if, my heart rate goes up and I say something wrong? I can see, by putting myself in those shoes, why somebody would I guess after passing be like, oh, I don't know if I should take it again. And that's just trying to think of it. If put yourself in that situation. I mean, if it was my child, though, I would take them over and over and over if I knew I was innocent. But again, you got to look at the statistics of them. If that makes sense. Have you heard anything about another search next week? No, I have not. That's the big thing too. I've talked about too before I share this next video. That's the big thing too, is with lie detector tests and stuff. I've said this too. If you pass them, yeah, they might not be, their findings might not be accepted in a court of law. But boy, if you fail them, they sure can hem you up with that. So I mean, it's kind of a one-way street. Either you pass them, and then it can't help you in a court. But boy, if you fail it, they can put you under intense investigation and not let you leave and hold you against your, I guess, detain you to hold you where you can't. You have to sit there until you answer everything, until they're done with you. Yeah, it's a tool. Part of the process. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm just saying it's funny how that works. You can pass them multiple times, but nobody wants to believe it, or it's, that's the, I've heard that multiple times. Yeah, so what? They pass it. It's not admissible in a court of law. Yeah, but it'd be different if they failed it. It would be, it would be everybody would accept that. I don't know. I find it strange. Or something else. Anyway, let me share this. Then we're going to go to the next one. This one's really good, and this one's what I really wanted to show y'all. So
the North Fork, and we're about 15 miles up. Gorgeous spot, really gorgeous. And there's some things about this area that have always intrigued me. Number one, it's tons of wildlife out here, and big bear area. I mean, big bear. So I've got my head on a swivel, and I'm going to be paying attention to what's around me. So a couple things about today is we're going to talk about some current cases, some older cases, and some letters. I know some of you will complain about the noise, but sometimes to get the beauty of an area, the noise is part of that beauty, and I don't consider it noise. This creek contains some of the biggest fish that come out of the North Fork of the Flathead, and they come up these tributaries to spawn. And in this little creek right here, you can have some really big fish. So I consider it a gorgeous place. I do want to get to some letters. And I'm going to allow you to have the beauty of this while I read it to you. Hey Dave, hope you enjoy this true story that happened at Olive Creek Reservoir south of Lincoln, Nebraska around 1981. I was 25 years old. I find myself wanting to try different fishing places around Lincoln and would go night fishing for catfish on Friday nights by myself. It was a dark and creepy night. By Joshua Warren published this story, a compilation. Came back at the end of the day, and the truck is parked at the trailhead, and we come around the corner, and I couldn't believe what I saw. I saw two doors, the two that happened to us over the years. During the day, while they were watching TV, quoting, "Mom, Uncle is home. He's at the door." He says my uncle's name, which he shouldn't know, and he didn't even know he had his. I don't know. But it's an area that there's been some research on it, but I think life would be different if we could do this. Now, we do have abilities that we don't understand, like that feeling of someone staring at you when you're walking through a crowd or you're in a building, putting forth a multi-decade-long effort to really get to the bottom of it. And I hope Mr. Bigelow has some success, because his pain is real, just like my pain and your pain is. So I hope we can do this someday. So, those are the letters. Now, before I get into the missing people, I want to show this to you. So this is a RECCO, R-E-C-C-O, backpack rescue reflector. I learned about this maybe a month ago, and I bought 3 of them. One for me, one for Angie, one for Angie's daughter. And because she goes to the mountains as much as we do. And I looked into it. So certain search and rescue helicopters have a RECCO unit. And it sits on the outside of the helicopter, and it has the ability to pick up signs and signals. And this little tiny reflector shows up big on that RICO unit. Now, this thing costs, I think, $30, thereabouts. It goes on the outside of your backpack. And the RICO unit picks it up if they're looking for anybody. So even if you're somebody they're not looking for, it'll pick it up. Now, the reason I bought it is Two Bear Air out of Kalispell is the biggest search and rescue unit in the Pacific Northwest. It's completely free, subsidized by a billionaire. One of the best things anyone's ever done. They're flying all the time during the summer, and they've got a RICO unit.
Brock, yes,
That's why I bought it.
there is.
Because I know if I
We
go
have
missing,
videos of each and
that
every
they're gonna be
trail
flying
on that
looking for
property.
and this just gives me another opportunity to be found.
If you're talking to
So-
hold on.
Anyhow, first case.
If you're talking about prior to Summer going missing, I don't know if there was one or not.
I'm going to talk about. And this may not make sense to you at the beginning, but it will in the end. A woman named Rosemarie Bly, B-L-Y, 21 years old, missing August 21st, 2009, about 8 p.m. She lived in a rural area.
And this was done months and months ago, so some of his facts are not on. He misspeaks and says that she's that Rose is the sister to Dawn and not Candace. But like I said, he did this just weeks after Summer went missing, so the information wasn't clear to him. And he is former law enforcement. I wanted to add that.
Of St. Croix Falls in Wisconsin. She was married, had 2 kids, 2 and under. And she was going to drive 4.5 miles to go see her cousin at a bar. And it was one of the rare nights that her husband was going to babysit and she was going to go out and see her cousin. Well, they met, everything was good. And she left the bar and she failed to return home. She was driving a 2001 white Pontiac Grand Prix. So that's the FBI missing poster on her. Now, wholesome girl, nice girl, young lady, really. Well, 5 days later, her car is found in Grantsburg. And I'll show you this. This is important, too. Car is located just up here in Grantsburg. Her meeting was here in Cushing, and she lived on the outskirts of St. Croix Falls. So this is the river that separates Wisconsin from Minnesota. This is Minneapolis. This is a cluster zone of missing people. Now, I am not saying in the least that this case falls into this cluster, but follow me for a few minutes here. So they find the car, they process the car for evidence. They call the husband in because they'd been having problems in the past. He passes a polygraph, has no idea where his wife is, played no part in the disappearance. She had very little money, no credit cards. And the week before she disappeared, she fell off a horse and hurt her head real bad. And her mom said, you need to go to the doctor. She didn't think that her daughter ever went. She doesn't think Rosemarie did go to the doctor. But I think it's a weird coincidence that in a lot of these cases, these people would have head pain. The Polk County Sheriff's Office in Wisconsin has the case. They went to the FBI missing person wanted poster that I just showed you.
Spivey, he's talking about Summer's aunt that also disappeared without a trace. Yeah, that's who he's talking about. So that's in relation to. Are you behind? Are you watching DeOrr Kunz? Or are you watching this one right here?
But you see, the FBI doesn't investigate missing people. So they do think it's criminal. This case is 12 years old. The kids would be near 14 years old now. Rosemary Bly. Now, why am I talking?
Kimmy, who's the other channels covering this information right here? Because I just thought about doing this today and put it together. Unless somebody's doing it after they saw we were doing it, I don't understand who else would be covering it. Let me know, please, because I'd like to know who is. Rosebly fell off a horse. Yes, this is stuff he's giving y'all some information that y'all might even know too. I heard about this early on too. Listen, I'll stop pausing it, but I just wanted to answer that. I saw that. It was very weird. What other channels? And what's that? And who's fighting down here? I want that to stop. Just a comment that has that spelled like, seemed like an attack at you. You know, I got your back. Oh, everybody's good, man. Let's all be cool.
About this because there's a girl missing, 5 years old, from an area of Tennessee, and it's a current case. It's ongoing. Now I don't know if this one is a missing 411 case, but it's looking pretty close. Summer Wells, 5 years old, missing June 15th of this year, 6:30 p.m. Summer was out with her grandmother. Heard something. Out with her grandmother and her mom planting wildflowers during the day. Near the end of the day, she goes inside, sees her brothers inside the house watching TV, and tells them she's going to go to the basement and play with her toys. They see her go to the basement. After that, she disappears. There's a door at the basement where she could have walked out. This is in a super rural area off of a road called Ben Hill Road in the northern part of Tennessee. Very northern part of Tennessee. Closest town is probably Dykes Mill, D-Y-K-E-S. Let me show you this. So, they live at the end of the road. Now, being a policeman for a number of years, crimes don't happen on dead-end roads very often. You know why? Because there's only one way in and one way out. And people that live on dead-end roads, they keep track of who comes into their road and who doesn't. So for a suspect to come in there and steal and abduct Summer, to me, doesn't make any sense at all. But what happened to her? Well, that's $1 million question. As of a couple days ago, they had 2,500 acres that were searched. They had over 30 different agencies involved in the search. They had canines, they had helicopters, they had planes, they had ATVs, they had people on horseback. The dad said that there's no way she left that property on her own. She wouldn't have left the confines of their area. The other question is, why wouldn't she respond to her own name by searchers? And it was as they got into this investigation that Summer's dad said, you guys may want to know that my own sister disappeared August 21st, 2009. Rosemary Bly. That's odd. The case I just told you about in Wisconsin. That was Summer Wells' dad's sister. What happened? Well, that's pretty unusual, I'd say. Now, the dad was at work when Summer Wells disappeared. He was at work in Jonesboro, a long ways away. And he had a good alibi. He wasn't involved.
Correction, mother's
on the spectrum
sister.
Of crime, mothers and grandmothers don't commit a lot of crime against kids. Dads sometimes do, but he's been exonerated by a polygraph and an alibi that he wasn't in the area. So this area in Tennessee, kind of weird. Why is it kind of weird? It's weird because I've written about it before. So you can't make this stuff up.
B, it was done over
March
almost
26th.
9 months ago.
1962, March 26, 1962, at about 10 o'clock at night, there was a girl 2 years old disappeared 5 miles away from Summer Wells. I doubt anybody has ever heard of this. Guaranteed the searchers have never heard of it. But in the Crawford home, one of the kids got sick, and they got in a car and they drove to a physician. They ended up getting back home about 10 o'clock at night.
Okay, so to keep people on track, this was done at the very beginning of this case. So that's why he mixed up his information, I believe, when he said Rose was the dad's sister. He might have meant to say sister-in-law, the mother's sister. I don't know where I think he says at the beginning of this he's in Montana or somewhere like that. He is the author of Missing 411. He is a former law enforcement investigator that looked into these cases of missing people with no answers, and the federal government will not issue a Freedom of Information Act on a lot of them, won't even talk about them. Blue Sky says Cam is fake. Well, you can go on and leave.
We don't ask you to be here.
What is fake? Are you talking about me being fake, or is this fake? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because I misread chat a lot. He lives in Montana. Yes, he had a son that recently committed suicide and took his own life. He's been dealing with that. This guy's, look, you've seen him on the History Channel. He's very, what does he say? What's the word I'm looking for? Very, his integrity is good.
Oh, yes.
Very good. This is real. I mean, I don't understand that either. Why come over here and say something in the chat if you don't want to? If you don't like me, go away. We can easily make it where we don't see you ever again over here. I don't want to do that to people, but I mean, that's stupid. It's like a little kid.
Yeah.
Cam is fake. Boy, everybody laugh. Oh, we're 5 sitting in the desk laughing. Come on. Okay. Oh, she feeling better?
No, I finally got her to take some medicine.
Yeah, you see, people have seen him on Mr. Ball, and he's very well known. Oh, I am. I'm kicking her out and just moving on. I just think it's frustrating. It's like messing. It's like trying to do a live stream with a bunch of 3-year-olds. Thank you, Barbie. Let's see here. I wanted to answer some of this before I keep going because there was some stuff that I caught. No, it's not throwing me off for real. We're still on point. Hey, look, that's the thing though. A lot of these cases, the people closely involved are the ones that are looked at, and there's never any evidence to. I don't know. We've seen. I'm going to use an example real quick. You're telling me that somebody that was on my live stream that said, I made a statement. We talked about this. I was in Chasing chat earlier, and I said, Candace was on our live, and I said something about my fiber optic internet.
Because her internet was messing up.
Because her internet was messing up, and she was kind of intoxicated, and she tries to get back into the conversation and says, women have fiber optic opportunities more than men. And you mean...
I'm telling you, so we laughed right then, and I had to hold it in because I'm telling you, I about lost it. But then we got to the end of the live, and we just sat there for a minute because so much happened during that. And then when everything kind of finally registered with us, we didn't even talk about all the other stuff first that was said. The first thing we talked about was the fact that she said that women had more fiber optic opportunities
than men.
Yeah.
And I was
just, oh my gosh.
And then you can't help to be like, there's your mastermind right there. After that, that's the things that throw me off. And I don't know. Because a lot of people give, I think, way too much credit. You were trying to, what you're saying now is when you're saying that they outsmarted 160 search agencies without a trace. And I'm not saying that they're innocent. I'm just saying that this is the things that make me question sometimes. You have to say that these people outsmarted 160 search agencies, and mom went blank. 160 search agencies, and that they all three, this is what I was going to talk about with the polygraph, that all three of them have managed to keep the same story. All three of them pass. Law enforcement confirmed it. Sheriff Lawson, we knew about that early on and told people they passed early on, but couldn't confirm it because it wasn't our place to. But we said that they passed because that's what we were told, and we saw other evidence of them passing it. But you're trying to tell me that all three of them, not one of them slipped up and it became inconsistent, or what's the word I'm looking for? The word when it's not deceptive,
Right.
at any where that's the things that hold me back, and I'm like, well, we got to look at everything. I don't know, man. I've never gotten a fiber optic opportunity. I haven't either.
Same.
Haven't
I would have more opportunities than you because you're a man.
Do you have the clip?
I do have the clip.
You sent it in the email?
I did.
Our email?
Yeah.
Hold on, we'll play that real quick because it's.
Or no, I sent it to her in a text, but I can send it in the email. I had to trim it down, so.
I'm going to show that real quick before we continue this.
Hold on, I'm getting it.
Can you rewind it just a bit? There was another child who went missing there. Yeah, that's what we're on right now. I'm not gonna stop right yet, Tracy. I'm going to continue listening to this because this is where he's talking, and it's actually after this one. Here, we'll do that first. Let me just rewind to here because.
I doubt anybody has ever heard of this. Guaranteed the searchers have never heard of it. But in the Crawford home, one of the kids got sick, and they got in a car and they drove to a physician. They ended up getting back home about 10 o'clock at night. And Wanda Fay was sitting in the front seat, laying on the front seat, sleeping. So they left her there. They walked about 100 yards to their house from the main road. They said that when they got back, they thought that they saw a car near their car. But when they got to their car, Wanda was gone. They called the sheriff. The sheriff responded, and they actually had deputies right in that area because there was a crime that occurred, a shooting in the area, and they were looking for a suspect. So they bring in deputies. They start searching. They search all night. And the deputies noticed something really weird. That the door handles on the inside of the car that Wanda was in were all broken or off. And it was impossible for you to open the car doors from the inside. You had to reach over and open it from the outside. And the deputies believed it was impossible for Wanda to open that car from the inside, based on her age, which was 2 years old. So, 13 hours later after she disappears, and 3 miles away from where she disappeared, across several creeks, deep creeks, Wanda wanders into a residence to get assistance. Remember, she's just 2 years old. So she's brought back to her house, and she's interviewed, and she initially said 3 words: "Man took me." That's it. Man took me. Well, the deputies happened to know these guys that were driving around that night, and they arrested both of them for a variety of crimes. Later, all the charges were dropped because when Wanda was further questioned, she kept saying, "I don't know. I don't know." She couldn't describe what took her, who took her. Canines never could pick up a scent from the car. Obviously, lots of water in the area. I think it's odd that she could say, man took me, but couldn't describe the man. But at 2 years old, that's not really that unusual. Let me talk to you about another case. Also, just 50 miles away from where Summer disappeared, versus 5 miles for Wanda. But Minnie Hahn, 3 years old, disappeared October 8th, 1957. And this happened about 10 miles east of Lafayette, Tennessee. At about 1 o'clock that afternoon, Mrs. Hahn took Minnie and her sisters out to collect walnuts behind the home. They lived in a super rural area. And Mrs. Hahn walked away briefly with their 4-year-old, came back quickly, and Minnie was gone. Asked the sisters where she went, and said she was walking back towards the house. So they all walked back towards the house, yelling her name. Couldn't find her. Called deputies. Within 2 hours, they had dozens of deputies on scene. Within 24 hours, they had 2,000 people on scene.
Before we go any further, I want y'all to notice the last name of the little girl that went missing 5 miles away from Summer's home. Wanda Crawford. Does that last name ring a bell? Crawford? I don't know if there's relation in that, but the Crawfords have so we're going to go over this. We're going to go over this child's case at the end if we have time. But I might save it for another live. But Wanda Crawford was the little girl that went missing and that we talked about before, Minnie Hahn, the case he's on now. You remember Marlena Crawford, the woman that was on the property, and her son and her daughter. I'm not going to say her name. We're just going to say Jay. Her daughter, Jay Crawford. Just so many similarities in this. Craziness. Could that Wanda Crawford be Marlena's mother or grandmother?
Possible.
I don't know. I mean, we just got to think this is what you have to do. This is why I listen and I pay attention to all the names. Allie pointed this out just a minute ago, and she said, "Did you hear that last name?"
When I walked in here from out there, I kept saying, "Did you get that? Did you hear that name?" And you didn't, I guess, get what I was saying. But yeah, we're gonna look into that.
Respectively, in my opinion, what's the chances of 2 people going missing in a family? Very true. But don't you think, okay, so there was information I heard on another channel that said that this first time I'd heard this. I was on Manimal Reacts the other night, and he said that he had one of Rose's friends on there that talked about Rosie having a boyfriend other than her husband, and that he is the one that they are looking at in her disappearance. And I had not heard that.
I had heard.
You had heard that?
That she had a boyfriend, yes.
And so, but you're also saying that, okay, this person's in Wisconsin. Don and Candace are in Arkansas at that point in time. Moved to Tennessee.
I don't know that Don ever met Rosie.
I don't know either. He said he didn't he?
I don't think he had ever met her. Because they were, I mean, that's around the same time that Josie was born.
That's true.
And they were not even in Wisconsin.
If I knew about a contract with the tree cutters. Yes, there was a power. So the power company, the power company subcontracted the tree trimming jobs out to multiple tree trimming companies. Wolf Tree Company, Davies Tree Trimming Company, I think Asplund, was there ASPLUNDUH Asplunda or Asplund. That's why. So we actually on the live I was on last night on Tiffany's channel. I showed a picture of June 2013 that was taken at the shed on the Beach Creek down at the bottom on Beach Creek, where the road turns up, where there is a gate there and there's a camper down there and a flagpole. The power line cut is not there. They had not even cut that thing out yet in 2013. And I don't know how that's relevant. I'm just telling that it wasn't. I feel like it's important. So this must have been an undertaking that has just been within the, since 2013 at some point.
Now, cat lover.
It's pronounced Asplin. I say Asplin.
Well, anyway, cat lover 33 said earlier, and this kind of stuck out to me because I hadn't heard this before. She had said to Chasing Truth, I was out there on the 16th, and there were also road workers patching potholes, and they had been there for several days.
Yeah.
I wonder if they were questioned. That's a good question because I had never even heard about any road workers.
Well, we were talking about we'd always heard, I've said this very adamantly from the beginning, we've heard that the tree trimmers were not really investigated.
Right, they were just like, did you see anything?
Did you see anything? Did you know anything out of normal?
Of course, we don't know that for a fact.
There was two workers there around 6 o'clock when Summer went missing. There was a guy that left early from work that day. I've reached out and tried to get a hold of these companies to get answers. To know they don't answer back. I tried to talk about it just to get some truth about it, but they're not going to answer me. They don't have an obligation to. But somebody said Don lies when he speaks, but Don also tells the truth on himself, even when it really looks bad on himself.
Yeah.
Very incriminating on himself. You can't deny that either. The things I don't understand, what he was been very so bluntly honest about a lot. Unless he's lying about, so people have put him under a lot of, I guess they've really been diving in. I watched on him saying where he said he drives by, because he did say this. He did say that the law wasn't there when he first got home. He did say that. Yeah. And that wasn't true. And then comes back and says, well, there might have been one there. Or two.
After Chris M said that he had spoke with them and law enforcement was there when he got there.
Right. And even if he says, and he also says that there was a discrepancy when so he has told some lies.
Mm-hmm.
Or
who hasn't in this case?
Who has in this case, right. But at the same time, also.
I laugh out of frustration with that, guys.
At the same time, though, you have then people bring into question, was it a blur that day? Do you remember? If he drove by the road, he didn't go up to the house first, so he wouldn't have, but still, by the time he did go up there, he would know, unless you just go by and you just don't, there's no way you don't see a cop at your house. No way you don't. No way. No explanation.
Even if the cop, if there was only one there, which I don't know, I think that's what was said, that there was only one there when he got there. Even if that cop had came up and where the driveway splits and goes into the two separate directions, like where it circles around. Are you paying attention?
Yeah, I'm listening to you.
Even if the cop went, took a left and Don went up around the right, he still, when he pulled in, that connects, so he would have saw the cop there.
Yeah. Somebody said on another channel I listened to this morning too that there's new pictures that came out that showed that the driveway is not that very, very long. We've got many videos. It shows us driving up it and down it, and it's pretty long. It takes all-wheel drive. Well, it doesn't have to. I don't guess. Don gets up in a two-wheel drive. Right. The weather, yeah. And I would say after it's rained quite a bit, Yeah.
that it would wash it out even worse and make it harder.
See that carpe diem? That's your opinion. As of right now, though, that's all anybody has is opinions. We don't have any evidence to back up anything, except for there's been inconsistencies with a lot of things that have been said. Yes, that makes you question it. But as far as physical evidence of anybody doing anything, there's nothing at this point. And that's what's so frustrating. So we can say all day. I mean, that's why I get so frustrated. It makes no difference if I come on this channel and say, they did it, they need to be hung from the rooftops, they did it. Or if I say, listen, I'm waiting before I voice my opinion where the evidence goes. We can say that, but that solves nothing. It really gets us nowhere. We can sit and persecute and till we're blue in the face. It gets us nowhere. Mercy, I think I did, and I will answer you back after I get off this live. We'll finish listening to Minnie Han, and I'm done. This case right here that we're listening to.
Friends, 2,000 people walking shoulder to shoulder to cover several square miles of area in a region where small traffic disappeared. That's really, really good coverage. The second day, the sheriff was smart. He said, something's wrong here. There's no way we're not finding this girl with this many people. So they called the FBI. And Mrs. Han couldn't believe how quickly Minnie could have disappeared and told the deputies this. Well, nighttime temps were in the 40s. It was cool. 60 men continued to search on the outer areas while thousands searched in close. And after 52 hours of searching, the sheriff called it off and said, hey, she's not in this area. We would have found her. Well, a private search and rescue continued. And on day 6, 6 miles from the location where Minnie was last seen, they found some clothing of hers. They found a shoe, they found a sock, they found her overalls, then a cap. They kept searching. Then they kept going up a steep ridge. 1.5 miles up a very steep ridge, they found her body near the base of a cliff. And she was only wearing a very light, short dress that was wearing over the overalls. She was 3 years old. The coroner said she was dead for 3 to 4 days. Remember, the overalls, the panties were on the top of the cliff, and the body was badly scratched. And I hear this, and I read this a lot of times about kids that have disappeared. I did a Freedom of Information Act request on the FBI at the time I wrote this story, and they said all the files were destroyed in 1999. So this means that under the theory that Minnie did this to herself, she took her shoes off before she walked up the cliff. Parents don't believe it. They said that they believe she was abducted. But how did she get away so quickly? Why didn't she respond to her name? Now here's the kicker to all this. I wrote about many kids that disappeared in this time frame in Tennessee. I'm just giving you a small bit of it here. The FBI agent that responded to all of these cases was an agent named Jim Wright, R-I-K-E. And he wrote up reports and sent them to Washington on all of these cases. Well, Jim Wright, he took his own life later in his career after he retired. I never met the man. I don't know what happened, but I'm just giving you facts. So, here's what I want you to look at. This is where Summer Wells disappeared. This is where Wanda Faye Crawford disappeared, just 5 miles away. And then, if you drew a straight line from these two cases, this is where Minnie Han disappeared 55 miles away. This is the border of Tennessee. A little too close for comfort for me. This is the map of the Wells disappearance and the Crawford disappearance. very thick and wooded through all of this area here. You get to a highway, broadens out a little bit, Dykes Mill. Wells still missing. Summer Wells. Rosemary Blythe, the aunt of Summer Wells. This is an age-progressed drawing of what she'd look like today. She was 21 when she disappeared in 2009. Is she alive? Could be. She was never found. But what happened? What happened to all these girls? You're seeing a lot of butterflies and things flying into the screen here. A lot of life. A lot of life right here. Now, I'm always reluctant to talk about cases that are current for a variety of reasons. Summer's case may turn out to be an abduction. I don't know. I seriously doubt it. Like I said, criminals do not like going up dead-end roads. This may be a 411 case, as it turns out. I don't know. But I am giving you information about current and past cases that are strange. To have a girl disappear and to have her aunt, who also disappeared a decade earlier, and never be found, that is very odd. I gotta say, I think that's a first in what I've ever talked about here. Can't remember that ever happening. But in summary, Summer Wells is missing from Dykes Mill, Tennessee. We're missing June 15th this year, 6:30 p.m.
Rogersville, Beach Creek.
Her aunt, Rosemary Blythe, 21, still missing from Wisconsin. I did talk to you about the RICO unit. I would get one if I lived in an area that had it. And the only way to really tell if they have a RICO unit is to look at the search and rescue people in that area and look at their helicopter and see if they have. But if you're going to travel, I'd carry one. In the meantime,
hold on, I got this. Hold on, I want to go over
Creek.
this. Somebody just said there is more than one way into Ben Hill. On foot, yes, but the roads do not connect. Simpson Road does not connect. There's a gate. It looks like it when you go from Google Maps. It does not connect. There's a gate that ends on Mary Sexton's property, right past it. You can't go any farther. And then on the ends at the back side, it turns into like a dirt road and then ends back there. We've been all the way through there. Now, Bell Road, there's a path that cuts through one of the properties that is clear cut. Grass, it's just like an open that cuts through one of the properties that will take you straight to Bell Road. Leads to Fields Road and that way. I don't know if you could get a vehicle in there without somebody being like, why are you driving through my yard? And it'd be a long, long way to drive through somebody's property. And Linkard, yes, they do. Let's see. What did they say? So I saw somebody, let's not mention the boys. They do watch YouTube. They have access to YouTube. They watch it. This is her sister, or this is their sister.
They're kids.
They're kids, first and foremost.
Let's
they
just leave them.
Be respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to be known at the end of this that, that I could have a conversation and not have to be apologizing for saying ill things about anybody, any of their family or loved ones. Because even with that, we don't know the truth of any of that either. People can say, oh, well, you can't argue that this was not. We see pictures, family outings, all that stuff. The house, yes, was in not good shape. Would there be laziness and neglectfulness in there? Yes, I guess you would say that. But as far as tangible evidence of anything with that, there's no evidence of all that. There's no charges filed. I just choose to not speak on that because they do watch. And I think that's not too much to ask, to be respectful to them. The animal theory, I feel like there would be something left. some kind of evidence if an animal would be, just my opinion. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'd like to see an update on what he thinks now. Well, he does have one as far Chasing told me. Is there an updated one, Chasing? I ask everybody to do me a favor. If you support this channel, please go hit that like button, leave some touch DNA on it for us. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's all we ask ever on this channel. Yeah, that's a good point. Now in ATV, yeah, you could get into that way, but you would still have to open a gate off of Simpson Road, and you're right in somebody's yard to go through that gate. Pretty much, they see everything up there. But the trails now, Brock, I will tell you, the trails is very. Don said that he used to take his 2-wheel drive truck up and down the trail that goes down by the gray shed. Back when they were younger. She isn't in the title, though. I will try to find it. Maybe we'll do that on another live stream. We actually went through the second part pretty quickly. We're only right at 2 hours, so we done good here. Which pathway are you talking about, Brock? And I can confirm, or I can tell you which one you're talking about. I was up at the Wells property when the second initial search happened. And I saw all the areas that they were coming through with gators and ATVs, talking about law enforcement and the search teams. And, you know, I've seen all the access points to that road everywhere that they were searching. I will confirm something that I haven't got to talk about. So I can't confirm it. I'm just going to tell you what we were told. So on the property, not the man that spoke out on Facebook and told about the prints to begin with, but the other property, there's allegedly 3 child footprints with summer scent on them there. We were told law enforcement cast those prints, same as the one on Phillips' property, and there was 1 or 2 on the other guy's property. Let's see. I remember hearing something that he did, an update on it. I'll go through and look through all the lives he's done. What is this man's channel? So I left the link in the description to these videos. It's called the Missing Can-Am Project. He is the author of the Missing 411, but I actually wrote and reached out to the Missing Can-Am Project to get them involved in Summer's case. I've yet to get an answer back, but I've reached out to numerous big groups to try to get help for Summer's case, just to get some fresh eyes in here to see what they see and see what they think and what their opinion is of it. 411 cases are not all paranormal or alien. They don't even talk. He never, ever says that it's aliens or anything like that. He leaves it open for discussion. And some of these cases get very, very weird. It's like, what other explanation is there? He never says it's this, that, or anything. He never gives an explanation. He tells you what the case consisted of and leaves you to make your own opinion, because there is no answers to them. That's what I respect about this guy. His name's David Paulides, Paulides. Okay. My 3 healers made a comment early on. Don said the house was only 100 feet back from the road. I think it's more than that, don't you, Allison? You think it's more than 100 feet? Once you go up that hill and say that's from Ben Hill Road or Beach Creek Road, which one's it? Because if he's saying from Ben Hill Road, it's farther than 100 feet, right? Well, we can do. I can measure it. I can actually get on Google Maps and we'll measure. We'll fact check it what it is.
But I don't know anybody that is an expert in.
What?
I just don't know anybody that's an expert in like saying this is how many feet.
Yeah, I don't know how many feet I live away from the road. Like, I've never went out there with a measuring tape and said, how many feet do I live? I guess you'd have in your appraisal, like in your property stuff, it'll tell you how many feet you are back. Okay, so here's this. I'm going to measure for it right here. Y'all probably they can't see it, but I'm going to measure from just say the closest point to the bottom of the driveway to where Ben Hill Road is. 393 feet. Let me share my screen just so people can see that. Just to prove, because I want to be able to prove everything I say on here, because that's so sick of arguing. Let's see here. Share, start. Share screen. What are you doing?
Getting my house shoes because I'm freezing.
Okay, right here I measured from the top of to where the house is. Here, I'll even move that to here because that 393 feet from this is the bottom of the driveway to where. Okay, let me see actually. Let me clear this one. Let me see if I can see the house through. All right, there we go. Measure distance from there. This is to the road right here. This is where the driveway comes out to the road. Boop. 273 feet. Even if we put it here. 244 feet. So more than 100. From Beach Creek side. 369 feet. So that answers that part of it. It's definitely more than 100 feet back from the road. It's actually triple what it was. Okay. Anything else? Anything else we need to? Pitbull mama, her sister, had a stroke and has a brain bleed and asked for prayer request. Add her. I remembered that. Didn't he say yards? I think he said feet. If it's 100 yards, what would 300 feet be in yards? I don't even know. So 100 yards is a football field, right? So I think that's at least
1 foot is 0.333 yards.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. I think this was a good live. I was excited about going over this information. I think we learned a lot in here. No, I didn't know. My three healers, I know you weren't trying to be argumentative. I was just trying to, it wasn't at you at all. I was just, I remember Don saying that. And I wanted to fact check that myself. It wasn't anything at you at all. Please don't take it that way. Yeah, I appreciate you a whole lot. Look, you've come up on my panels and stuff. It was not intended like that at all. 3 feet is 1 yard. So what would it be? 363 feet would be how many yards? 3 feet.
363 feet is 121 yards.
So it's still over 100 yards, 121 yards.
Yeah.
David Paulides has a movie named 411 on YouTube. Yeah, that's what we were watching, Jackie Centel. And there's also one called The Hunted. Watch that one. Missing 411, The Hunted. It talks about hunters, seasoned hunters that know the areas that they go missing in, and it's crazy that they find them later. You have to watch that one too. 111.43 meters is what that. Okay, so so I guess if you want to say you estimate, it's me. I don't know. It's still more. I think he said feet in that. But it's still good. I mean, we went through every every measurement. Thank you for bringing these things to the surface. I'm going to check this guy's channel out. Tink My Bell, you're very welcome. I've been encouraging you guys to watch this. I'm glad that we got to go over it. I felt like it was something good to do. Did that person ever answer what the other 4 channels were that were covering the same material that she said? 4 channels covering the same material. I said, how's that? Because I just now thought about
Today?
it. Yeah. It's trolling, I guess. I don't know. We'll go look. Maybe there was, maybe there. I don't care. They got good taste if they did. Cam, you go straight across from the graveyard. Has that been checked? Anything within the 4.6 mile radius is 1.2 or no 4.6 mile
Square.
What did he say? What's the word?
Dang it. I was not ready for math class today.
I'm a brain block, man. So many things. Karen Canada, please go back and watch. It's good stuff. It's very informative.
Jason
all
Drake
of it.
Said no, they are covering DeOrr. Okay.
Oh, they're covering DeOrr. Yeah, I don't think they covered this part of DeOrr's case. Maybe. What 4.6 mile? Man, I can't believe I'm blocking. That word is not coming to me. Circumference? No.
Lisa Bradley, no.
What'd you say?
Were the footprints in the same area that the people on the dirt bikes blocked?
No. That's not on the same road as Ben Hill Road. It's not on Ben Hill Road where that was. Just to keep that out. It's close, but it's not Ben Hill.
No.
4.6 mile circumference. Is that the word they use? Circumference?
Radius.
No, radius is what he did the math. Mr. Tomato Head, like he's smart. I laugh every time I say his screen name. I love it. Maybe they did say circumference, but he did. It's equal down to only 1.2 miles in radius, like in each direction that they went. But that way they said it, 4.6. But I thought it was 4.6 miles in every direction. But he said no. He said it's 4.6 miles, but 1.2 miles in every direction. I was like, well, that would make sense in a radius. It was
like 4.6 miles altogether.
Altogether is what he said. Now, I don't know. I don't know about that, Jackie Sintel. Do you think there's any quicksand areas? Well, there is ponds with very...
Yeah.
Excuse me. There's ponds with very, very... This came from one of the divers from Need a Diver. He said in the pond, one of the ponds that wasn't seen by Google Maps, and that he got down in this pond and the mud pretty much sucked him up down in there up to his waist. Mm-hmm. And that's why they checked that pond like very thoroughly, and they got it. I really appreciate they did a good job when they were here. They were thorough about the things they did. And he told us about that. He said, I had, they went through every square inch of that and checked deep in that mud. So there's that. But I don't know if that's considered like quicksand area, like 4.6 circumference is 1.5 miles. Okay, that's right. I don't know why circumference wasn't sounding right to me. String on it and went in a circle around the property. That's where they searched. Yeah. All right, I think that's it. I think we're done. Let me see what else was in here. Kenny Bunt, no, you're not blocked, brother. You're right there. I see you. There's your comment right there. You ain't blocked. Chat's on slow mode, so sometimes you got to wait 30 seconds in between messages, so just to keep the chat manageable so we can see a good majority of it and I don't miss some stuff. Why? Is he supposed to be blocked or something? Did he do something? No, man, you're not blocked, brother. If you didn't do nothing, you shouldn't be blocked. I don't know if he's having an argument with Kaz or something. I don't care. I'm tired. I'm over it right now. We've been on here a while. God bless y'all. Let's pray. Let's get out of here. Hit that like button. I want to see them likes go before we get off here. That's all we ask of anybody on here, and I'd appreciate it if you leave your touch DNA on it. All right. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for everything you do. We ask and lift up Pitbull Mama's sister right now. She had a stroke and she has a brain bleed. Lord, we ask that you restore her and get her back to 100% in as quick a time as possible. Let her family be at peace. Let her sister be at peace. Let them know that you are taking care of her, and let Pitbull Mama know that you're taking care of her husband through the procedure she's dealing with. And for Candy and her husband, that he's been going through lung cancer. Lord, we lift up the people in this chat that don't even ask for a prayer request tonight. Lord, you know right what they need, and you meet them right where they are. Lord, we ask that, or we come to you as intercessing in prayer for our brothers and sisters in Christ. We lift them up, Lord, and we pray for them in the name of Jesus. It doesn't have to be spoken in any kind of form or fashion when we pray. Heavenly Father, let people know that they can come to you and talk to you like me and the chat talk, and me and my wife talk. We can come to you and talk to you as a friend, as their father, and put things at your feet, Lord. We ask that you bring answers to these cases, these missing children, these little ones that go missing with no answers. Lord, we ask that you bring answers forward, and that you bring the people that are responsible for causing harm to these children, and you, whoever it may be, whether it be their parents, whether it be a family member or somebody close to them, a church member, whoever it is, let them be brought to justice and be held accountable. Lord, put so much conviction on them that they can't think, move, or do anything without just feeling complete remorse for the things they've done, and the dread of having to face their peers and the rest of humanity. Lord, let them speak out. Let people that might have knowledge come forward and speak out about things they know. Lord, we ask that the people that drive that red truck come forward so we can get those answers and get moving forward on this case. God, we ask that you put law enforcement in the right place at the right time to find answers, Lord. And if Summer is out there, if she did walk away, we ask that a search party be put together and they find her and we bring answers. If she is out there, Lord, let that poor baby be, brought home and just have a proper everything. Is so hard when you talk about children, Lord. We don't understand why things happen or why things are allowed. But Lord, we know that out of every situation, you can take whatever is ugly and whatever the devil or the enemy uses for bad, and you can make it for good. God, we ask that people come together and be respectful of these boys and people that, just people in general, people that let people think and put themselves in other people's positions before they crucify and persecute somebody. Let us always stand back and look for the truth. Let us search for the truth. Let us do our own research and find the right evidence, Lord, the right information that will lead to the truth. Lord, if we let you lead us and you guide us and we look to you for everything, we know we can never be steered in the wrong direction. Lord, I ask that you touch people's hearts right now, make their hearts softer, and let people just know that it's not our place. It's ultimately they have to answer to you. They have to answer to the court system, but to you is the main thing. Let us change the temperature of our nation. Let these trafficking things and all that be know that we're not going to stand for it. We're not going to allow it, Lord, and we ask that there be reform on laws and lawmakers to change the way that people that do hurt children or do nasty things against them, or women or even men, Lord, that they don't get a smack on the wrist and they're, you know, held accountable, and that their sentence, you know, is long enough that you know, that they don't feel like they can get out and just do the same thing again with no consequences. Let there be a difference in our world, Lord. Let us look to you and turn to you. Thank you for loving us when we don't deserve it. Thank you for having faith in us when we have no faith in you. You're awesome. You're the Alpha and Omega. You're first and last. In Jesus' name I pray, amen. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. On your way out, hit that like button if you don't care. We appreciate it. We love y'all.
Keep our babies in your prayers if you don't care.
My nose is running terrible.
Oh, I've started getting that cold yesterday, and I don't know. I've got a cold. Our son had that stomach virus Friday. Now our daughter has it, and she's pitiful. So
I want to
just keep us in your prayers.
All right, guys. I wanted to play some stuff for you. I played them at the beginning of this. I don't know if y'all have ever seen them. When I put together new things, I try to play them and let y'all see them. But I'm going to play a new intro outro we did, and I'm going to do the one we always exit with. Remember, at the end of the day, everybody wants justice.
But justice doesn't have to be carried out with hate.
We love you, and we'll catch you on the next one.
See ya.
Whoop.